Anxiety feels like you're in a maze and you're scared. Something happened to your parents and you can't find them and you're trying to find your way out as quick as you can.
Anxious feelings are like butterflies in your tummy telling you you can't do it.
Anxiety is like busy traffic because sometimes you get distracted with sadness. Sometimes you just don't know what to do.
I think people would be surprised that anxiety is the most common mental health problem in children. I think it hasn't received the attention that it deserves. But anxiety is a problem that we need to pay attention to, and that if you were walking into a school, you would be aware of the fact that anxiety is a really significant problem for our children. So this is the first time anxiety disorders have been measured in a government survey like this. So it's a bit hard to know whether rates of disorder are actually increasing, but definitely from teachers and parents are reporting that anxiety is more of a problem than it ever was before.
Willa, time for school. Can you go get your uniform on, please?
Wait, where is it?
It's in the bedroom. She has separation anxiety. We actually thought it was part and parcel of kids starting school. And it got more acute where she was just being very distressed and upset to the extent where she was running out of the classroom and follow me and chase me down the street.
I wouldn't let go of my mum until the principal had to go involved. And it was really embarrassing and they saw me screaming for my mum in front of my whole class.
The school, they didn't actually say that it was something that needed counselling or support. The main thrust of a lot of the advice, she's going to grow out of it. Well, she didn't.
So we think about 40% of children who are experiencing anxiety disorders aren't receiving the treatment that they need. Understanding the difference between when it's normal anxiety and when it's something that requires help is a really difficult decision that parents have to make. To me, it's when that anxiety starts to impact on the child's life, when they can't switch it off, when they can't go to school, when they're kind of missing out on activities that most other children are experiencing. That's when I think it's important to seek help.
Separation anxiety started around 4 or 5, so we've had counselling across all those years, and now in year 3 I think we can help a bit more because she's able to explain how she feels.
When I do my breathing exercises, I feel brave enough to ask someone, can you stay with me or can I play with you, to get my mind off like you going away, and it really helps. What are you doing?
Start again.
We know now that if children don't receive intervention early, that they're much more likely to go on to develop anxiety throughout their life and also develop depression and a range of other mental health problems as well. So it's really important that we intervene early to stop that from happening.
So, how have you been, Abby? You've been good?
Yeah.
And what about those feelings we've been talking about in your tummy?
It felt like it was getting really bigger.
Anxiety is one of these things. Ideally, we'd intervene early because as we get older, our thoughts tend to get quite entrenched and the roots get stronger and more kind of dug in. And then with children, it's a lot easier because they haven't got all that stuff to write over. What are some of the ways we can deal with the feelings that we have?
To just take a few deep breaths and say that it's going to be alright.
Also developmentally, as children grow into adolescence, if anxiety isn't nipped in the bud, it can really lead to quite devastating byproducts. And a lot of the time it comes from a narrative that might have been anxious to start off with and it's turned quite dark.
Do you have any assignments you'll have to work on over the holidays?
IBL and art, and that's it.
Okay. I think if someone was to meet Elizabeth now as an almost 15-year-old, that they would have no idea that she'd suffered such serious problems with anxiety when she was younger.
My experience with anxiety was like mostly at night. Like, I don't know, I just remember not feeling really comfortable with sleeping.
When she was 6 or 7, we started having trouble at bedtime. It didn't matter how long I stayed, it needed to be a bit longer. It was at the point where it could take 2 hours to get her to bed at night. She was genuinely having panic attacks at bedtime and was hysterical.
I remember Mum's reaction. She was always like, you need to go to sleep, you need to do this yourself, which I never understood. Like, you should just stay with me, you should just do this for me.
When they said that it was anxiety, it was just the acknowledgement that there was an actual problem, that there were things I could change, there were ways I could help her to change.
We know that anxiety runs in families, so if parents are kind of modelling anxiety to their children, this is one way that it can transmit. But also parents who might be more protective of their kids. If it's kind of quite a normal reaction if a child's quite anxious and inhibited to kind of want to rush in and help them, but in doing that, if parents who do rush in and help too much, that helps to maintain the anxiety in the long run.
I'm so grateful we were able to deal with it when she was younger, because I can see now in her as an almost 15-year-old that the techniques she learnt as a 6- and 7-year-old have become instinctive.
It was worse when I was younger, and I do get anxious now, but mostly I just say, oh, I need to just keep going, I can do this, I can just, I sort of just get on with it.
So the main strategy that the parents are taught and the children are taught is to, rather than avoiding situations that you're scared of, is to face them. People with anxiety, they think that something bad's going to happen in a situation when it's not as likely as what they think. So we encourage kids to gradually face the situations that they've been avoiding to learn, actually, you know what, this is not as scary as what I thought, and maybe I can handle it.
Every time that I do something that makes me anxious, but I do it, gives me a bit more confidence. Yeah, I did that. And I thought I couldn't, but then I did, and it's just every time it's a bit more.
Hi, my name's Willa, kid scientist. When I was in kindergarten, I had separation anxiety. Sometimes I still feel stressed and anxious. What happens when you feel anxious?
I decided to make the Eureka Prize video because I realized that once I had anxiety, I know how it felt, and I know that I understand that other children have it.
It's important to remember that anxiety can happen to anyone. If you feel anxious, it's a great idea to talk to someone about it.
It's important for us that there are conversations about anxiety as a mental health issue that kids face, and we didn't find that there was a lot of information or dialogue about it.
It's important for people like me who've had it when they're younger to come out and speak about it, to normalise issues like these, to give people confidence to help deal with it for the rest of your life.
So let's take a big deep breath in through our nose and blow out like we're blowing bubbles.
When I'm anxious, I try to say, it's all right, I'll give it a go.